I don't want to put this to you, because perhaps it's not really about you. But, I mean, if we're looking at both sides, we're saying that the politician was trying to take a decision that was good for everyone. The teachers, if you've ever seen their number, remember I was having a conversation with Sulaiman, and he was pointing out when Lagos State was holding a meeting with teachers over the Ebola matter, and there were, a lot of them in this hall, teachers, and he said, no wonder any state government that wants to win elections again must take this group of people very seriously. They are a number to, take into cognizance. So if they rise up and say no to a governor or to whoever that you cannot do this, they're quite a number that you must take into account. Who, again, in that state or in Nigeria, stood up to say, teachers, but you cannot be on this path because we're looking at the future of our children?
The teachers in question are part of the civil service I am talking about. It's the civil service that is the engine room of governance.
But the civil...
Wait. Mm-hmm. They are the engine room of governance in Nigeria.
The civil
when it comes to being together to fight a curse, the teachers, the administrators, those in the ministries, they come together and form a formidable force against you, a politician that will come and ask them one simple question: where do we go from here? Because if you're made a governor today, you go ask your PSs, your directors, what has been happening, how do we get better? They will wait for you and say, okay, let him get here. Let him get here, and then we'll do you guys in. But honestly, like we were saying, we're trying to paint a picture of 54 years. Let's look at some other aspects too of governance that has been bad.
It's an aspect of governance I want us to look at, because the civil servants that we're talking about don't fall from the sky. They are fathers, they are mothers, they are aunties, uncles.
Yes, that's
they're
right.
part of society.
That's right.
They're quite, you might say they're 1%, but we're looking at 1% of, 170 million. They're a significant number. And they could actually have an effect because they're usually quite educated. How do we...
Okay, good, thank you. Why I'm particular about them is because of how much of our funds goes to them. It is a factor you need to think about. When I told you, do you earn 10 naira and give 7 to your house help and your driver? The answer is no. They are a factor that we should look at closely.
You've answered the question, but some people might not agree with you. And the society
that's of social engineering
that we are in today. You find out that in some climes that is actually the situation where women say, well, we want to work, and they find out that basically more than half their salary is going to taking care of the children and taking care of that happens in some climes.
That's
maybe
right.
It's not cook and driver, but more than half their salary is going into things that maybe the woman should have sat at home to even take care of by herself.
Those are situations where there is value outside. In your house and outside on the street, there is value for you to tap into. But outside of your home, in this our country, there is no value for you. You have to go hunt for it. But let's just look at these 54 years and then look at some other aspects too. And it's still the same governance and leadership. Take, for instance, a place like Bayelsa State. The first tap of oil was got at Oloibiri, now in Bayelsa State, 1956. Until lately, Bayelsa was not even on the national grid from NEPA. That is where most of our wealth comes from. It wasn't on the national grid. They were busy either without power or they were generating power locally. Look at all these things, and then it brings us to a situation of what are we going to do to our people? How do we help our people? How do we get across to the people? How much of governance gets to the people?
You were talking about how 4 years is just only a part of this entire 54 years, but it all adds up.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all this incremental change. In your estimation, are we making progress?
You say progress. It's dual. You can make positive progress and you can make negative progress. The progress we have on hand as we speak, it's like, whew, where do we go from here? Are we getting the desired effect from our people, from our leadership? Honestly, we all we get to hear are projections, aspirations, what we will do at a particular period, which is not commensurate with what we are saying. So there is progress, but it's very, 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 very minimal compared to what Nigerians think. At 54, we should be miles ahead. Miles ahead. Take, for instance, years back, Nigeria had the first TV station in Africa. Honestly, one of the first world nations of today. France, we had TV before France. How good can we be? And what happened afterwards? We just came down, all the way down, which wasn't good enough for us. It wasn't good for us. What were we doing wrong? So basically, I am thinking that even governance of those days did not give much to the people. It was the people that were giving themselves and giving value to Nigeria. That is why I want to advise, what were we doing then that the average Nigerian, that made the average Nigerian happy? Which was, the average Nigerian was self-employed. And the major aspect was in agri. Honestly, go back to some villages, they don't know anything beyond 100 meters from that village.
Okay.
They package their cocoa, they give it to the next man who brings it to Ibadan or brings it to Lagos here in Oba.
It's a week-long focus, I reckon, but I'm afraid we'll have to let it off here today on this discussion about Nigeria, 54, what can we do differently to become better as a people and a country. I'd like to thank you for coming on today.
I'm glad to be
Mr.
here,
Bola
like I said
Bakare,
earlier.
it's of the Truth Be Told Network. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.